Welcome to the ultimate guide on Vampire Tribal.
We're going to show you how to make a vampire deck so good, it's garlic proof.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. Do you like vampires? Do you like other videos similar to this one? They're going to come out if you keep subscribing, or if you do it once.
Yeah, and besides, you want to be subscribed to this channel because our subscribers are 10% less likely to fall into Dracula's spell.
Disclaimer guy here, the Nitpicking Nerds are not responsible when you fall under Dracula's spell, because everyone falls under Dracula's spell.
Your stomach growled there.
Did it? I didn't even hear it.
It did, yeah, a little bit.
How did you hear it and I didn't hear it?
I don't know. It's a good question.
It's early in the morning. What is the goal of the vampire tribe?
So the goal of the Vampire Tribe is to swarm all these vampires onto the battlefield, take advantage of drains, which vampires are doing. Just all these things, critical mass.
You either want to pump them up or you want to use them as just cannon fodder to drain the opponent out, similar to how a vampire would kill somebody.
Yes,
Whoa.
vampires like draining. What colors can we play?
Well, first, if you're wondering, we're going to be doing this for a lot of different tribes. This is the first one.
Yeah, this is going to be a video series. We're going to put out our ultimate guide for all of the most popular tribes. And if you have any tribe that you want to see next, put it in the comments below so we can go down there and see what people want.
Exactly. So first, we always do, well, we're always going to be doing, what colors can you play if you're vampires?
So vampires are actually represented in all 5 colors of Magic. There's actually only one green one.
And nobody once cared about it.
And nobody once cared about it. It's Ramsey. So we're not playing green.
No one is Ramsey. It's Rayami, in case they were wondering what it actually was.
Whatever. Ramsey, Rayami. Whatever. He's the only green vampire. He doesn't care about vampires, so we're not playing him. Grixis has 2 vampires, but they're just not anything that we want to be playing. They don't care about vampires.
They're different build-arounds.
They're way different build-arounds. So the main colors that we really get into are Mardu. We can so the combos we can play Mono Black. We can play Orzhov. We can play Rakdos. Or we can play full Mardu.
So it needs to have black in it.
And I was just going to say,
almost every vampire is got to be black.
Yes, vampires almost always have black in them. There are a few from Innistrad that are mono red, and I think there's one from.
There's a couple Ixalan ones that are white.
Eldraine also has a mono red one. Weird. It's the weird. Wasn't quite in the set from like what were those the pre-made
commander decks?
The Brawl decks, yes.
One of those. Obviously, vampires, they're so black it hurts. You just got to play black.
So let's start with mono black. There's 13 legends that are vampires, but there's only 4 that have any synergy in the tribe. Anawan, the Rune Sage, who makes each player sacrifice a non-vampire on their upkeep.
On your upkeep.
It's
even worse.
It is worse. But on your upkeep, each player sacrifices a non-vampire, so you're not going to be sacrificing because you're playing vampires. Baron Sengar. Now, he is like...
I know he's 7 mana, but I don't know what he does.
Yeah, you don't want to know what he does.
Okay.
Whenever a creature dealt damage by him dies, he gets a +2/+2 counter.
Wow. I'm glad they're updating it for the next commander set coming out.
And you can,
it's going to be playable.
And you can tap him to make target creature... Or no, regenerate target vampire. You can tap him to...
There's the synergy. Well, we also have Kalidas, Blood Chief of Get, and the other Kalidas, the Traitor of Get, which is... funny because he like betrays the vampires, but he's still vampire tribal because you can sack a vampire with that one, and then the Blood Chief blows something up and makes it a vampire.
Yeah, you get a token that's
equal to its stats.
Yeah, it's weird because it doesn't exile the card like a normal, like you think it would. Because if the idea is you make that thing a vampire, so it goes to the graveyard, but then you have
you assumingly you get it because you have like if you kill a 6/6, you get a 6/6 vampire, but then they can just bring it back like, oh, my honey mammoth was here the whole time.
It's super weird. Regardless, if you want to play any of those, they're all fine. The one I would suggest is Anawan. Out of those ones,
they're all pretty meh. I'd probably suggest Kalidas.
You would suggest
Kalidas has the most splash damage of just being super useful. And then if you're in mono black, you're not going super hard on synergy because you can't.
Yeah. 4 Rakdos legends, only 2 with synergies. It's both Olivia's.
I would recommend the good Olivia, the 4 mana one.
Yeah, don't play the War Mobilized or whatever her name is.
The standard pushed weird card that makes you discard. No thanks.
Yeah, I wouldn't really play any of these. Another option, in Orzhov, we have 1 with any vampire synergy, and it's Alendra, the Dusk Rose.
She's good.
Yeah, she is good.
One of the better ones.
Yeah, and she makes vampires when she dies.
Yeah, she's a 4 mana 1/1. Whenever anything dies, she gets a counter, and then when she dies, you get that many vampire tokens equal to her power.
Now, for my money, where we're going here, I would just play Mardu, full Mardu, because you get access to pretty much all the vampires, and you get the best legend of all of these we've listed, Edgar Markov.
One of the best legends, one of the best tribal commanders, one of the best commanders, banned in 1v1.
He's
We
absolutely,
should probably read it.
he's absolutely insane.
3 in a Mardu for a 4/4 legendary vampire knight, but he has Eminence, which is one of the worst abilities ever. Whenever you cast another vampire spell, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone or on the battlefield, create a 1/1 black vampire creature token. He has first strike and haste if you do cast him, and when he attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control.
Including, but not limited to, himself.
He becomes a 5/5 with first strike, so he's not dying in combat, most likely. He's going to create 5 from himself, and if you have 5 tokens, that's 10 power right away, attacking your opponent right now.
He is absolutely super strong. If you're playing vampires, I strongly suggest going with this. It's obviously not required that you go this way.
Right, but you're looking for fodder? Nothing could ever provide this much fodder. It is every time you cast a vampire, no matter what, you get a fodder token.
Yeah, and a fodder token.
Yeah.
What's it? That token's my fodder.
Creature type, fodder.
Okay, but so vampire staples we're going to get into now. These are things that don't necessarily synergize with vampires, but they do what vampires do, but they are awesome.
Well, these are the vampires you're going to see in other decks
Yes,
that we're going to probably also play here because they're vampires.
yeah, because they're vampires, and we want vampires in our deck. Blood Artist, Cruel Celebrant, and Falcon Wrath Noble are all basically the same.
When something dies, whether it's under your control or in general, either someone's losing a life and you're gaining life, or everyone's losing one and you're gaining one.
Yeah, this is 3 different versions of the same card. They're all very good. You're probably going to have all of them in your deck. Bloodghast, he is a 2/1 for 2 that can't block, but whenever a land enters the battlefield, he comes back from your graveyard, and if an opponent has 10 life or less, it has haste.
This is less of an Edgar card and more of a, if you're trying to get bodies in play to sacrifice or skull clamp or something. So maybe it is.
I mean,
It just might still be. You don't get the cast trigger, but maybe you don't need a cast trigger. Maybe, like, who cares?
you get the cast trigger the first time you play it, and you don't need it. The next time, it's just a free vampire.
Yeah, it's always a free body. It could just suicide itself in. Who cares? You're going to play land every turn, every second main phase. He'll be back.
Yeah, he just keeps coming back. He's awesome. Bloodseeker, whenever an opponent plays a creature, they lose 1 life.
Sure. It's kind of like Citra Priest, which sees play.
Yeah, it's another drain effect, and it's a vampire. Because again, if you're in the Edgar Markov deck, which is heavily our suggestion for if you want to play vampires, you play them, you get a vampire, and then you have this annoying body that everyone's got to deal with now.
Oh, yeah.
Have any token opponents? They're not going to like you.
Dusk Legion Zealot is next. It's just 2 mana, 1/1, ETB, draw a card, lose a life. I want so many of those. I would play way more than one of this card if I could, but it's just totally amazing filler.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's gravy in the deck.
Like, how good could a filler card ever be?
Yeah, it's gravy in the deck. It's like the deck just wants a vampire that cycles every time, and that's what it's doing
Every time. 2 vampires for 2 mana, in Edgar at least. Draw a card, lose a life. I'm so in for that.
Oh yeah. What's the next card?
The next card is Kalidas, but we already talked about him. So the next card is Nurkata Revenant. It's a 6 mana 4/4. Swamps you tap for mana, produce double, and then it has fire breathing for some reason because they wanted to make it a mythic rare, so they had to give it some other text.
Yeah.
It's a vampire.
It's just doubling your mana, and if you play a card like Urborg, which you would probably put in your vampire deck, because
You just might.
It'll make the kind of effort double all your lands, which is super strong.
Yeah, this is the one I've never played it. You could obviously play it. Maybe this is better for mono black Rakdos.
Yeah, this card is completely reasonable. It's not like it's insane. Next, you have Horn of Ulamar, which is whenever a non-token dies, you get an 0/1 Eldrazi spawn.
Spawn.
Yes,
Nailed it.
I always get those two confused, Spawn and
Yeah,
Scion.
there's like not even a mnemonic device.
No, it's really silly. But this guy's great, and again, we want to be sacrificing and throwing stuff at our opponent. Don't we want to? If we sack a vampire, I would love to get another thing to throw at my
I
opponent.
mean, he does an Edgar impression. Every one of your guys now has an extra layer of nonsense that you can sacrifice. Amazing.
Yeah, so good. Tithe Drinker is 2/1 for a white and a black, and it has lifelink, and it also has Extort, which Extort, if you don't know, is very, very good in Commander.
Very vampiric too, if you're going for tribal
These
themes.
guys are so, and like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna keep pushing you guys to Edgar. I know that Edgar he's so good compared to any other.
Well, that's the thing. I would play Edgar unless you think he's so good that it won't be fun.
Yeah,
It's like it's easy mode.
It might be easy mode. Maybe if you want to play all the colors, if you want to play the Mardu, maybe, and you don't want it to be easy mode, maybe do Morphon.
Yeah, you could always throw in Morphon too.
Morphon.
Play Rayami for 1 mana.
Yeah. Edgar is definitely more fair in the 99.
Okay. So next we got Viscera Seer and Yahenni Undying Partisan. These are going to be Vampire Sack Outlets. We're going to play both of them for sure. Sack Outlets are great. Vampires get super top priority because we need to trigger things with them.
I'm a huge fan of Yahenni. I wasn't.
She's been sweet.
I wasn't when Yahenni first came out, but I keep like if you just have one other thing in play, which I don't know, if you cast Yahenni, you have one other thing in play now because of Edgar. It's just silly. Like somebody wants to cast a border wipe. Okay, they destroy 10 creatures. You sacked 1. Now you have an 11/11. That's
you're just gonna
so
you're
hard
gonna
to kill.
smack somebody. Oh, that was foolish of you to board wipe. Take 12.
Yeah, it's super good. The card is awesome. When it first came out, I was like down on it. I'm like,
She just demands a removal spell. How many sack outlets demand a removal spell? I mean, maybe some depending on what you're playing, but she's like, okay, you have to kill me.
she just makes it tough to board wipe, and that's what's awesome about it. Viscera Seer. Obviously, you're just scrying when you.
It's 1 mana, 1/1. It's great.
Yeah,
It's going to trigger everything that says whenever you cast a creature, whenever a creature enters, creatures you control get blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's great. It's there for you.
Voldemort Prize is an interesting one. It's a 5 mana 3/3 with flying. You sacrifice 3 other creatures. It flips over, and then target opponent does the same thing.
They sacrifice the creatures.
Yes.
And then it's a 6/5.
Yeah. So this is a big flyer. I mean, you're going to have lots of fodder. Get them out there.
Think of it as a removal spell. It's kind of like a 5 mana sorcery that just turns into a 6/5. It gives you a 6/5 flyer, and then somebody you like destroy 3 creatures, kind of. And it's easy to set up boards where it's an instant speed ability. So if somebody has 3 creatures, they're all good. Bye.
Wow. Good. I'll buy.
You're done.
And last one, Legion's Landing. It's a 1 mana enchantment that makes a 1/1 vampire when it enters. And when you attack with 3 or more creatures, you get to flip it into a land.
Adanto.
A Danto that taps for a white mana, or you can pay 3 mana and tap it to make a 1/1 vampire.
I love this card. I'm playing it whenever I can. I think Legion's Landing is great.
It's absolutely awesome. That's like if you have a 2-drop vampire, you're flipping it on turn 3 every time.
With Edgar.
Like you just play this, get that, play a 2/2 vampire, get a 1/1, and now
If your deck makes tokens and they're fodder, you absolutely send them in. Even if they're all getting blocked and destroyed. Whether or not you have a sack out to take advantage of them, I'm doing it. I want a land, it's free ramp. I'll trade 3 tokens for ramp every time.
So now we are playing vampires. Besides our commander saying something awesome when a vampire happens and working with vampires, which is probably Edgar Markov because we're pushing him to the moon.
Could be Olivia, could be Alenda, one of those guys.
Yes. Besides working with our commander who wants vampires, what are the payoffs?
Yeah,
now we're in vampires.
We went to the decks that are the cards that are vampires and they're good. But these are the cards that are good with more vampires.
Yes. We're working with vampires. Let's see what we got here. First, we have our lords. I almost forgot what they were called.
Yeah, the original, just not original, but the bare bones type lords.
Yeah. So Legion Lieutenant, who just gives vampires +1/+1. Thirsting Bloodward does the same thing, actually. And Stormkirk gives them +1/+1 and First Strike.
Yeah, the Stormkirk Captain is probably the best one. I don't know if I would play the other two. EDH is such a powerful format that I don't know if you can play generic +1/+1, but we had to mention them.
I mean, Legion Lieutenant is probably fine. I mean, and again, if you talk about in an aggro deck, it seems super good.
In Edgar, I think I'm playing the base buffers, but I don't know if you can't get a free creature off of it, I probably wouldn't play the first two. I'd play Stormkirk though.
Yeah,
First Strike is the something extra.
Yeah, giving First Strike's really good. Captivating Vampire is really good though.
Well, it's a Lord, but with something extra. You can tap 5 vampires you control, gain control of target creature.
This card is absolutely...
That doesn't require haste. That's not a summoning sickness ability. You can just do it.
You know what else happens when you take that card? It becomes a vampire in addition to its other types.
It fuels itself.
Yeah.
So you can end step target something, play a couple of vampires, get a couple of vampire tokens. 2 more things, vampires. This card by itself almost can demand a board wipe.
The card is super good. Absolutely awesome. Bloodline Keeper is also very awesome. It taps to make vampires, and also, what makes it flip?
So it's a 3/3 for 4. You tap to make a 2/2 vampire with flying, the rare flying vampire token. And then you can pay black to transform it, but only if you control 5 vampires. And then it turns into a 3/3 flyer still. But other vampires you control get +2/+2, and it still taps to make a 2/2 flyer.
I mean, it taps to make a 4/4 essentially.
Right. This card is one of the better vampire payoffs. You need your lords to do something, and this does a lot of something.
I mean, it makes it makes a ton of tokens, and on top of making a ton of tokens, it's going to be pumping those tokens. Card is so good.
Yeah, it basically starts at, it's so trivial to get it to flip.
Oh man, but I have 10. But I'm running out of cards in my hand.
Yeah.
I have 10 vampires in play, but I don't have anything to do. What could I only have one card. What could that one card be?
Well, I really hope it's Champion of Dusk, the 5-mana 4/4 from Ixalan, one of the only cards worth a darn in that set. When it enters battlefield, you draw a card and lose life for each vampire you control. If you have 10 vampires, you draw 10 and you lose 10. It's Necropotence.
He also counts himself.
Counts himself.
So if you
Failsafe is 1.
yeah, the failsafe no
With Edgar, it's 2.
with Edgar the failsafe is 2, which is so good actually that even adds that. It's like 5 mana draw 2 isn't great, but it's like if I have no cards in hand, it feels
Edgar
better
just,
than nothing.
Edgar just supercharges everything, and I almost want to stop mentioning him, but we won't.
We won't because he's so good. He's such a good vampire, and like I have never thought of him as unfair in multiplayer. He's very unfair in 1v1.
Yes.
Very strong in multiplayer, but I've never thought of him as an unfair commander. In
No,
multiplayer.
there's more impressive stuff out there.
He's very susceptible to board wipes.
Yeah, you board wipe and then you can reset.
What does Malakir Blood Witch do?
3 black for a 4/4 flyer with protection from white. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses life equal to the number of vampires you control, and you gain that much life. So if they lose 4/4/4, you gain 12. It's your Grey Merchant.
Yeah. No, I don't. It's this card has the classic like protection is staple on it for no reason. Vampires don't have protection weight. This one just randomly does.
This one's like, son, nuh-uh, nice try.
Yeah.
You cannot target it with Heliod Sun Crown.
Got it. Yeah, it's super weird.
The most polite card on this list, Cordial Vampire. He's black for a 1/1. Whenever him or another vampire you control dies, +1/+1 counter. All my vampires, please. Thank you.
Absolutely bonker sauce. What if you had Viscera and instead of making 1/1 tokens, Edgar said when you cast a vampire, put a +1/+1 counter on all your vampires.
This is so much more power and toughness than a regular Lord. Than Legion thingy that is just a 2/2 for 2 that pumps. This is going to be a lot.
Oh, it's so much, so fast, so easy. You have sack outlets. We've already told you 2 of them. You can have more in your deck, obviously.
This you can just play Cordial Vampire, send all your guys, and depending on how they block, you just kill them. You sack everything that was blocked, and now the 5 unblocked things are 8/8s.
Yeah. Oh, Cordial Vampire.
That's the real deal.
It gets the chef's kiss.
That's where your Bloodghast is going to go in. You sack Bloodghast, play a fetch land, sack it, crack the fetch, get it back, sack it again. That's 3 +1/+1 counters, and you don't even have to try.
And your whole team.
Yeah, your whole team.
Not 3 +1/+1 counters. 3 +1/+1 counters on each vampire you
control. It could be
control.
30 +1/+1 counters for no investment.
Not easily, because all you would have to do is have played 5 vampires, and because of Edgar Markov, you would have 10.
Whoa. Vampires are busted.
Vampire Nocturnus. I'm not a big fan of this one. 1 black for a vampire. Play with the top card of your library, reveal. As long as the top card of your library is black, Vampire Nocturnus and other vampires you control get +2/+1 and have flying. So
it's also a 3/3.
It is also a 3/3. So every vampire getting +2/+1 is okay. I mean, it's going to be like half the time.
It's pretty great.
But what if they had flying also to really avoid?
That pushes it over. But this card is so hit or miss. I would recommend this one, not in Edgar. I would recommend it in mono black.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you're closer, even still in mono black, like 50-50, maybe worse to make this work. Yeah. You need some top deck manipulation or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this card, but it is a vampire payoff. We have to put it here while I show you what you can do with these vampires.
This is pretty cool if you're if Viscera Seer does wombo with Vampire Nocturnus, if you got like a Bloodghast or something to sack, you can try to set it up. Or maybe if you're fiddling around with a Skull Clamp, you can eventually get it right. But this is not the best one, although it is pretty fun. And if you're playing Lord's Tribal, it's got to go in.
Lord's Tribal. Classic.
Well, Vampire Lord. If you want every Vampire Lord, this has to go in.
Classic Lord's Tribal.
Classic.
Indulgent Aristocrats is the next one. What does that one do?
It's black for a 1/1 lifelink. You pay 2 and sacrifice a creature. Put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control.
Okay. I gotta be honest, when I read that one, I was just like, Indulgent Aristocrats. I know it now, but I did not.
Well, I was like that for the first 2 seconds.
Yeah, I did not recognizing that name is just.
Like, this is secretly this is a random uncommon throwaway from Shadows, but it's amazing. It's so good. It does a Cordial Vampire impression.
Yeah, it does. It does a special impression. It's not as good, but it is good.
Definitely still playable. This is better than all the Lords that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, we don't want to.
It's better than Nocturnus and Stormcrow Captain and those 2 vanillas.
Yeah, 2 vanillas. Next, we have Patron of the Vein, 4 black for a vampire shaman 4/4 flying. When he enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, exile it and put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control.
It's not when it dies this way. It's if they die for any old reason. Somebody plays a Fleshbag Marauder. Well, your vampires get 3 +1/+1 counters, and the creatures that die get exiled. In case you care about that.
Yeah, you're exiling creatures. You're stopping people from doing
Graveyard stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why was that not coming to my head. You're stopping people from doing graveyard stuff, which you have to do. This apparently to
This card is
signify.
insane. Patron of the Vein is so good.
Yeah,
It is like the best top end you could hope for.
oh, it's so good. It's so good. What do we say?
You
It's
can
so
flicker it. You can bring it back from the graveyard. That card is
good.
the real deal.
It's a removal spell, and then on top of that, if they decide they need to start chumping your things because they're getting huge, your guys are just getting huger.
It doesn't even if you kill it right away, you're still gonna get the +1/+1 counter. There's nothing to stop this guy from being amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 6-mana removal spell at worst.
No, 6-mana removal spell, pump at worst.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh. Next, Sanctum Seeker. This is a 3/4 for 4 mana, and when it attacks, or whenever a vampire you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life.
This is okay. It's kind of like a Lord. I think I like it a little bit better. It's gonna get a life advantage, so you can attack with 6 things, and then the Lord part is unblockable.
Yeah, so whoever you attacked with the 6 things loses 6 life and you gain 6 life. Draining is something vampires
Draining's
love
good.
doing.
Maybe you play. There's a couple different ways you could take the draining route with vampires. Maybe do like a wound reflection type thing where it doesn't matter what happens. They're gonna take critical mass and then die. Or you can go I have a bunch of vampires and I want to keep them alive. You lose life as gravy.
You lose life as gravy.
Yes,
As gravy.
it's much too hard to come up with a funny thing to say now. All I can do is move on to the next card, which is Blade of the Bloodchief. It's 1-mana artifact, equips for 1. Whenever a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature. Unless it's a vampire, then it gets 2 +1 counters. This does not go in every deck.
Yeah, I mean, it just fits. You throw it on vampires. If you're killing a lot of things or a lot of things are dying, that's when you want it.
Or you want to assemble a big vampire for some reason. There's not too many things that are going to agree with you, but if you want to do that, maybe your commander, I guess like an Olivia Voldaren Voltron, I could totally see this.
Maybe you want
She can ping stupid stuff, bump herself up by 2 each time, then she kills somebody.
Maybe Baron Sengar, who's getting +2/+2 counters, wants
This
it.
is the Baron Sengir. It's +2/+2 counters.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa. Except for it's 2 +1/+1 counters because they'll never print +2/+2 counters again.
It's too hard to keep track of.
It's so silly.
Well, there's only 2 cards left in this tribal guide for you, but Joe's going to read one of them.
Sorin Imperious Bloodlord. He is 3 mana for a 4 loyalty Sorin Planeswalker. +1, target creature you control gains Death Touch, Lifelink until end of turn. If it's a vampire, put a +1/+1 counter on it. +1, you may sacrifice a vampire. When you do, Sorin Imperious Bloodlord deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. -3, you may put a vampire creature card from your hand onto the battlefield.
This is better than it looks. It was a standard card, but I think it's totally playable in Commander.
I mean, if he comes down and cheats you some mana, he can just be awesome.
He comes down. The -3 always cheats mana. The one of the +1s always just kills something. You just can remove something every turn. A cheap utility creature.
Yeah, and again, if you're playing Edgar Markov, you have so many vampires, just
You
throw
have
them
a
away.
trivial amount of just fodder, just whenever you want.
Yeah, and I mean, you can plus him to cheat something in like a Patron of the Vein or a Dusk Legion Zealot. Or no, that does.
You could cheat in a Dusk Legion.
Don't do
Zealot.
that. Do Champion of
Dusk.
Champion
That
of the
is
Dusk.
one of the better ones.
Yeah,
to
do
cheat.
that one. You cheat him in, and then you draw a bunch of cards. That's
Or if
awesome.
you're playing like the clunky 7-mana Kalidas, boom, 3 mana, cheat it in right away.
Yeah, feels perfectly reasonable to do that. And he's a removal spell.
Soren's going to gain you a bunch of life, and then Soren's going to stick around and just kill stuff for
Yeah.
the rest of the game.
Yeah, Planeswalkers tend to get picked on, so be careful when you play.
If you have enough tokens, they just have to fly over. That's all they can really do.
Yeah, and what's the last one we have here?
The last card, these are in no order because this one is totally dead average power level. It's New Blood. 2 black for a sorcery is an additional cost to cast New Blood. Tap an untapped vampire you control. Gain control of target creature. Change the text of that creature by replacing all instances of one creature type with vampire. That's pretty weird. Why does it change it? Why doesn't it just say in addition?
Okay. I don't know why, but it's super funny because if it's like an elf shaman, you could choose to make it a vampire shaman or
An elf vampire.
An elf vampire because you
Whoa.
only change one of them. It's really strange. I don't know why they chose to do that.
But this is totally playable. This is 4 mana removal, but it's a 2-for-1 because you get the thing.
Oh wait a minute. If it replaces all instances, so if you take an elf lord, it becomes a vampire lord.
Oh,
I didn't even think about that.
what the heck?
That
That's
is-
so weird. So in the tribal meta, this is one of the best cards ever.
Like I'm trying to think. Like if there's got to be something really weird that you can take.
Like if you take there's an elf that was good in Pauper. It's a 4 mana 3/3. Whenever you cast an elf, you make an elf. So that would say whenever you cast a vampire spell, you make a 1/1 vampire.
Yeah, it replaces
Jeez.
all instants.
We might be totally wrong on that, but if we are, you have to comment to let us know.
I'm gonna read this card again just to be sure. Gain control of target creature. Change all the text of that creature by replacing all instances of one creature type with vampire.
Yeah, it's just like overload or any of those keywords. Like they're gone. You replace the word elf with vampire.
Yeah. So wow, super weird. Like Azuri would say,
Pay green, regenerate a vampire.
yeah, or pay 2 green. All your vampires
No,
get.
that just says creatures, I think.
Oh, that's
Or is it elves?
I
No,
think-
it must be elves.
I think it's out. So now
wait,
it just
let me
says
look at it.
vampires. This is so funny. I want to find something super silly with this, and I'm sure this is where I forget what I said earlier about the comments.
Yeah, this is what we need you for. That's what we really need you
I
for.
want you guys to find the silliest instant of what New Blood does because there's
or
gotta
maybe
be,
the most times you can put vampire on a card where
there's,
it wasn't there
There's
before.
got to be something so silly with this.
There has to be. Anyway, this card's great. I think you should actually play it. It's pretty good if you have token line around, which you should, because we just talked about what vampires are doing.
I mean, a 4-mana sorcery that permanently gains control is so much better than like a mind control effect, which is
And in
attached.
Commander, gaining control of something for free almost, for a very cheap, reasonable cost, is so much better than other formats because you could steal somebody's commander and ruin their whole deck.
So that's the end of our video. We're all done talking about Vampire Tribal. That's the ultimate guide to Vampire Tribal.
If you think there's something you didn't learn from this video, you're wrong. Everything was in here,
Everything was-
objectively.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, like, well, guys, you didn't share like the tribal cards. We already did a video
Yes, we did.
about the overarching tribal cards. You can click on that and go to that video because that video will be awesome. I think it's above B.
It was. Now it isn't.
Why? Why can't
It's
it be
very
there now?
fleeting. The cards are very fleeting.
Okay, so let's do our shout outs. Special shout outs to all of our patrons. You guys make this show possible. We love you as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. If you would like to join them, you can have the patreon.com/user/nitpicking nerds. And there is where you will find a place to join our patron tiers.
Yeah, come
join our
talk to us
Discord.
come talk to us in Discord, not Discord. Nobody wants the Discord, but everybody wants our Discord link, which we have for you. All you gotta do is become a patron. You can also go to the link we put for you in the description, TCG Player affiliate link. When you go there and you buy stuff, we get money. That's the fastest way I'll ever say that. Buymeacoffee.com. That's the third way. Digital tip jar. Even faster.
Yes.
Tidbit about our lives. We have to do it because we've missed the last one.
Yeah, we did.
Disappointed thousands.
Did you see that in that last video? I left in the part where we got up.
Oh, I did.
And you go, no tidbit for you.
I did because I have to do the end screen. So I was like, oh, that's where it ends. Okay.
Yeah, I just left in a little extra stuff. What is our tidbit?
Do you have a tidbit?
I guess we can. I am currently jobless. I just got.
Yay!
I just lost my job, so
Oh, that wasn't it. I shouldn't have clapped.
no, it's not good. I currently have no job. I am currently looking
This
for a
is
job.
currently Joe Cherry's only source of income. If that is that speaks to you in one way or another, and who am I to say the links are still there?
Wow, you're just making me a charity case.
Joe Cherry's charities case? I don't know.
Oh my god! Do you have a tidbit about your life? What's going on with you?
Joe got fired.
That's what's going on with your life.
That is all.
Ah,
I'm just a byproduct of Joe.
all right. Peace out, Tribe Scout.